Welcome to the Deep Dive. We grab a whole stack of sources, pull out the key insights, and get you up to speed fast. Today, we're tackling something that comes up a lot, causes confusion, and honestly gets answered poorly sometimes for people facing cancer. What should I eat? You might have even heard an oncologist say, just eat whatever you want. Doesn't really make a difference.
Yeah, and I have to say, it's really not accurate. Nothing could be further from the truth, actually.
Right.
That whole idea that food is irrelevant. It's a big misconception. The core thing we're digging into today is how your body has these built-in health defense systems. And here's the kicker. Food can actually activate them. So it's not food versus medicine, it's food and medicine.
Food and medicine. I like that.
Exactly. So our mission here is to unpack what the actual science says about using food to, help your body fight cancer.
Okay, let's unpack that. So first off, it seems important to know not just what's good to eat, but maybe what foods could be working against us, what increases risk.
Definitely. Understanding prevention and, reducing exposure is key. Let's start with processed meats.
Processed meats. Okay.
So the World Health Organization classifies these as a class 1 carcinogen.
Class 1. That sounds serious. People hear that and maybe think of things like asbestos. Can you put that classification in perspective? Is eating a hot dog like breathing asbestos?
That's a really important distinction to make. No, it's not about the magnitude of risk being the same. The classification, class 1, just means there's sufficient evidence that something can cause cancer in humans. It reflects the strength of the scientific proof.
Okay. So the certainty is high, but the level of risk might be different compared to other class 1 things.
Precisely. The dose, the amount of exposure needed to increase risk is very different for processed meat compared to, say, asbestos. With processed meats, the concern is around things like nitrates and nitrites used in curing. These can form compounds in your gut that are carcinogenic.
So when we say processed, what falls under that umbrella? Is it just lunch meat?
It's broader than just deli meat. Yeah, it's basically any meat that's been transformed, salted, cured, fermented, smoked, processes to preserve it or add flavor. So we're talking sausages, hot dogs, salami, ham, bacon, corned beef, those kinds of things.
Got it. And the risk is mainly linked to?
Long-term high exposure seems to increase the risk of digestive cancers. Colon cancer is the one most strongly linked in the research.
Okay. Now, another area people worry about, especially in the summer, is grilled food. Grilled meats. Is that the same issue?
It's related, but different. It's not inherently the meat itself that's the problem here. It's the grilling process.
How so?
Well, two main things happen. When fat drips down onto the flames or coals, it creates smoke. That smoke contains chemicals called polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, PAHs, nasty stuff.
PAH.
And those PAH then get deposited back onto the surface of the meat.
Oh.
And then the high heat of grilling also causes a reaction with the amino acids in the proteins of the meat. This forms another group of chemicals called heterocyclic amines, or HCAs.
PAHs and HCAs, both carcinogenic.
Yes, both are known carcinogens. And they can also build up in that black char that sticks to your grill grates.
Which is why cleaning the grill is important.
Very important. You don't want last week's carcinogens on this week's food.
Right. Okay, so this leads to a really practical point. Most of us like grilling.
Yeah.
Are there ways to make it safer, to lower that exposure?
Absolutely. You don't necessarily have to give it up entirely. First, like we just said, clean those grill grates really well before and after each use. Get rid of the char.
Okay, step 1.
Second, try not to stand right in the plume of smoke while you're grilling. Minimize breathing it in.
Makes sense.
Third, and this is pretty interesting, marinate your food. Whether it's meat, fish, even vegetables. Use things like tropical fruit juices, pineapple, orange, lemon, lime.
Why fruit juice?
They contain antioxidants, and if you add spices like cumin or turmeric to the marinade, their antioxidants can actually help neutralize some of those harmful HCA and PAH formations during cooking.
Wow. Okay, marinades as protection.
Exactly. And the final tip, probably the simplest, just moderation. Enjoy grilled food occasionally, not, 5 times a week. Be mindful about frequency.
Okay, those are really helpful, practical tips for reducing risk. Now, let's shift gears. You mentioned activating the body's defense systems.
Yes. This is where food becomes a proactive tool. While doctors are focused, rightly so, on attacking the cancer cells directly with treatments like chemo or surgery.
The standard medical approach.
Right. Food works differently. It empowers your body's own natural defenses to help fight the cancer from the inside out. It's like strengthening your internal army.
So it's a partner to the medical treatment.
A strategic partner, yes. And there are 5 key health defense systems that we know food can influence significantly.
5 systems. Okay, let's break those down. What's the first one?
The first is angiogenesis. Fancy word, but it just means how the body grows blood vessels.
Okay, we need blood vessels. Why is that relevant to cancer?
Well, cancer hijacks this process. A tiny tumor can't grow very large without its own blood supply to bring it nutrients and oxygen. Research has actually shown that once blood vessels connect to a tiny clump of cancer cells, that tumor can explode in size like 16,000 times bigger in just 2 weeks.
Wow. 16,000 times. That's incredible growth.
It really highlights how critical that blood supply is for the cancer. So eating foods that are anti-angiogenic can help slow or stop new blood vessels from feeding the tumor, essentially helping to starve the cancer.
Starve the cancer. Okay, that makes sense. System number 2.
Regeneration. This is all about how our bodies naturally heal and replace worn out or damaged cells with healthy new ones.
Like healing after an injury.
Exactly. And think about cancer treatment, chemotherapy, radiation, surgery. They all cause damage to healthy tissues too. Regeneration is absolutely vital for recovery, for healing properly from the inside out after those treatments. Certain foods can support that process.
Okay. Number 3.
The gut microbiome. This is a huge area of research right now. We have something like 39 trillion bacteria living in our gut, mostly in the colon.
Trillions. It's hard to even picture that.
It is. And these aren't bad bacteria. Most are incredibly beneficial. They play a critical role in lowering inflammation throughout your body and, really importantly, training and boosting your immune system. Both are powerful anti-cancer effects.
So a healthy gut is key. What's the 4th system?
DNA protection and repair. Cancer fundamentally starts with damage, a mutation in our DNA. But our bodies have amazing built-in systems to detect that damage, repair it, or if it's beyond repair, signal the cell to self-destruct before it becomes cancerous.
Like an internal quality control.
Exactly. And certain food components can actually enhance this DNA repair mechanism, helping to prevent those initial mutations from turning into full-blown cancer.
Okay. And the 5th defense system.
Your immune system itself and managing inflammation. Cancer is known to be a highly inflammatory disease. Think of chronic inflammation like smoldering embers in the body. Cancer cells thrive in that environment, and inflammation can even fuel their growth.
Like pouring gasoline on the embers, you said earlier.
Precisely. So we want to eat anti-inflammatory foods to help cool that down. And separately, the immune system is our primary defense against abnormal cells. Chemotherapy, while necessary, can unfortunately suppress the immune system. So eating foods that boost immune function becomes even more critical during treatment to help your body keep fighting.
Okay. Angiogenesis, regeneration, microbiome, DNA repair, and immunity inflammation. 5 powerful systems food can influence.
Correct. All working together ideally.
So this all sounds incredibly important, which brings us back to that earlier question. If this is so impactful, why aren't oncologists routinely talking about this? Why isn't it part of the standard conversation?
Yeah, it's a great question, and honestly, a source of frustration for many patients. The simple truth is, historically, most doctors, including oncologists, just haven't received much training in nutrition.
Really? Even in medical school?
It's surprisingly little. I mean, when I went through medical school, we had maybe 1 week dedicated to nutrition in 4 years. It's just not traditionally been part of the core curriculum.
1 week? That's
Yeah.
not a lot.
No. So our primary training, our main tools are drugs, surgery, radiation interventions designed to directly kill cancer cells. Optimizing the body's internal environment through food hasn't typically been the focus.
So the toolbox is mostly pharmacological and surgical.
That's generally been the case. But there is good news. Things are starting to change, slowly but surely.
How so?
Well, you see more awareness now. Younger oncologists coming through training are often more exposed to this science, more interested in integrative approaches, sometimes even for their own health. They might be more open to the food as medicine concept.
So if you're looking for a doctor, maybe ask about their perspective on nutrition.
It's definitely something you could consider including in your criteria when choosing your care team. See if they have an integrative approach or are open to discussing it. But here's the really crucial part for you, the listener. You don't need your doctor's permission to learn about this stuff.
That's empowering.
It is. If your current doctor isn't knowledgeable or focused on nutrition, that doesn't stop you from researching, learning, and implementing these food strategies yourself. You can take charge of that aspect of your health. You might even, end up teaching your medical team a thing or two by bringing them information or asking informed questions.
I love that. take the initiative.
Yeah.
And it's not just theory, right? There's actual clinical evidence showing food choices impact cancer outcomes.
Oh, absolutely. Real human studies. Let's talk about a couple. There was a significant study looking at tree nuts and colon cancer survival.
Tree nuts, like almonds, walnuts.
Exactly. This study followed 826 patients with stage 3 colon cancer. They were all getting standard medical treatment, chemo, surgery, whatever was appropriate. And they looked at their diets, specifically nut consumption. The finding was pretty startling.
What did they find?
Patients who ate just 2 servings of tree nuts per week, that's only about 2 small handfuls, had a 57% improvement in survival compared to those who didn't eat nuts.
57%, just from 2 servings of nuts a week, alongside their regular treatment.
That's what the study showed. It's a remarkable difference for such a simple dietary change.
That's incredible. Why? What's the thinking behind why nuts would have such a big impact? Is it just one thing in the nuts?
It's likely a combination of factors. Tree nuts are packed with healthy fats, like omega-3s and walnuts, which are known to support the immune system. They also contain a good amount of dietary fiber. And as we discussed, fiber is crucial food for your healthy gut microbiome.
Ah, feeding the good gut bacteria.
Right. Which in turn helps lower inflammation throughout the body. So you're hitting multiple defense systems, immunity, microbiome, inflammation with one food group.
Simple but powerful.
Hmm.
Okay, that's compelling evidence. What else connects diet, specifically the gut, to cancer outcomes?
There's another fascinating study related to immunotherapy. This is a cutting-edge cancer treatment that harnesses the patient's own immune system.
Right, using your body to fight the cancer.
Exactly. So this study looked at 249 cancer patients receiving immunotherapy. They found something really interesting about the patients who didn't respond well to the treatment.
What was it?
Many of them were missing a specific type of healthy gut bacteria called Akkermansia mucinifila.
Akkermansia. Okay, never heard of it. Why is it important?
Akkermansia is known to be really potent at reducing inflammation and boosting immune function. It seems to play a key role in helping the immune system recognize and attack cancer cells, especially when prompted by immunotherapy drugs. So, lacking this bug seemed to correlate with a poorer response to the treatment.
Wow. So the state of your gut bacteria could influence how well a major cancer therapy works.
It appears so, yes, which is a huge insight.
Can you? Can you get more Akkermansia? Can you cultivate it?
Yes, and that's the hopeful part. Certain foods seem to encourage its growth naturally. Things like pomegranates, cranberries, mangoes.
Fruits.
Yes, also chili peppers, and even specific fermented foods like Chinese black vinegar. Eating these regularly could potentially help build up your Akkermansia population.
Pomegranates, cranberries, mangoes, chili peppers. Interesting list. Okay, here's where it gets really practical for listeners. How would someone even know if they have enough Akkermansia or what their overall gut microbiome looks like?
That's a great question. You can actually get tested. There are gut microbiome tests available, often as mail-in kits.
Mail-in. How does that work?
It's usually pretty simple. They send you a kit, you collect a small stool sample using a swab, seal it up, and mail it back to the lab.
Okay, a poop swab.
Yep, a poop swab. It's straightforward. And in a few weeks, you get a detailed report back showing the different types of bacteria in your gut, hopefully, including Akkermansia, and indicating if you have high levels of any known harmful inflammation-causing bacteria.
That sounds incredibly useful. Maybe a bit daunting to navigate the results.
It can be. If you're going through treatment, you might feel overwhelmed. Don't hesitate to ask your oncologist if they can help you order a test or interpret the results, or maybe ask a tech-savvy friend or family member to help you with the process. And definitely share the results with your medical team. It's personalized information about your internal ecosystem. It might provide valuable insights for your overall care plan. You might even teach them something.
Right, more knowledge is more power. Okay, so we have evidence, we know about the defense systems. How do we translate this into what to put on our plate? You said it's personalized, no single checklist.
Exactly. Nutrition is personalized medicine. What works perfectly for one person might need adjustment for another, depending on other health conditions, like if they have diabetes or celiac disease or allergies. There's no universal cancer diet that fits everyone.
Understood. But are there general principles, specific food categories we should focus on to activate those defense systems we talked about?
Yes, definitely. We can talk about foods known to influence each system. For example, for anti-angiogenesis, trying to starve cancer's blood supply.
Yes. What foods help with that?
Foods like soy, especially for its genistein. Tomatoes are great because of lycopene. Green tea is a powerhouse with its EGCG catechins. Coffee shows benefits too. Oily fish rich in omega-3 fatty acids, lots of berries, raspberries, blueberries, strawberries, blackberries, even red grapes. And those brassica vegetables, broccoli, cauliflower, kale, bok choy, they contain compounds like sulforafane.
Okay, quite a list for angiogenesis. What about food that might help kill off cancer stem cells? Those ones that can cause recurrence.
Right. Targeting the stem cells is crucial for long-term prevention. Some promising foods include purple potatoes. The color comes from anthocyanins, which are powerful antioxidants. Green tea and coffee show up again here. And tree nuts, especially walnuts, seem to have activity against cancer stem cells too.
Purple potatoes. Interesting. Okay, how about boosting the immune system directly?
For immune support, broccoli sprouts are amazing. These are the tiny 3 to 4 day old baby broccoli plants. They're incredibly concentrated in sulforaphane, even more than mature broccoli.
Baby sprouts.
Blueberries are fantastic too. Studies show they can ramp up important immune cells like T cells and natural killer cells. And chili peppers, thanks to their capsaicin, can also play a role in modulating the immune response and inflammation.
Good options there. Now, for feeding that gut microbiome, we talk so much about the prebiotics.
Yes, prebiotic foods are key for nourishing your good gut bugs and lowering inflammation. Think fiber-rich foods that you don't digest fully but your gut bacteria love. This includes things like lentils, chickpeas, all kinds of beans, white beans, black beans, kidney beans. Mushrooms are surprisingly good prebiotics, even the common white button ones, avocado. And raspberries are a fiber superstar pound for pound, one of the highest fiber fruits.
Beans, lentils, mushrooms, raspberries.
Mhm.
Lots of accessible choices. And what about probiotics, the foods with live bacteria?
Yes, probiotic foods directly introduce beneficial bacteria. Fermented foods are the main players here. Things like kimchi, sauerkraut, and yogurt, especially full-fat yogurt. Interestingly, the bacteria in full-fat yogurt have also been linked to potentially helping lower blood cholesterol levels, so that's a nice side benefit.
Kimchi, sauerkraut, yogurt, good for the gut. Okay, that gives people a lot of concrete ideas for different food groups and their benefits.
The goal is variety, hitting these different systems through a diverse plant-forward diet.
Right, so let's bring this all together. It seems incredibly important to emphasize again. This isn't about replacing your medical care, is it? Food is not a cure on its own.
Absolutely not. That's a critical distinction. You need the best possible medical care from your oncology team. Food is not a substitute for chemotherapy, surgery, radiation, or immunotherapy.
So how should people think about it then?
Think of food as a vital tool in your overall toolbox. It's meant to augment your body's own defenses, to support your body while it undergoes medical treatment.
It's like, you mentioned Tony Stark earlier, it's like giving yourself the Iron Man suit, that extra layer of protection and capability to work alongside the medical interventions. You're enhancing your own resilience.
That's a great analogy. You're augmenting yourself. And another way I like to frame it is this. When you go to the clinic or hospital, your doctor is providing sick care, dealing directly with the disease. But when you go home between appointments, what you choose to eat is health care. It's how you actively build and support your own health defenses every single day.
Sick care in the clinic, health care at home on your plate. I like that distinction.
It puts the power back in your hands to some extent.
It really does. So maybe the final provocative thought for everyone listening, after taking all this in, is something like this. How can you integrate this deeper understanding? Seeing food not just as fuel or comfort or something incidental, but as a strategic partner in your health journey. How can that empower you to take a more active, informed role in your own well-being, really complementing your medical treatments and maybe even fostering better long-term health beyond the immediate fight?